Hello, everyone. My name is Alex. Thank you for coming back to revisit Seidr with me. A huge thank you to Bear for trusting me with his channel once again, and for being the best teacher that you could ever really hope for. So, if you haven't had a chance to look at my first video, please do before watching this one. It has some important points that you will need to be aware of before we go deeper into this topic. So, as with all of the mysteries, a Seidr is notoriously difficult to describe in words. It's the same as trying to describe what love or jealousy feels like. The best we can do is to offer metaphors and similes. In other words, to compare it to something that we know from the material world. So, for example, love might feel like a huge bunch of balloons expanding inside your chest. Or jealousy might feel like an angry shark looking for its dinner. Or happiness might feel like a warm hug from your mom. We generally find it very difficult to understand what goes on beyond our five senses. We cannot see the full spectrum of colors, like ultraviolet or infrared. We can't hear the full spectrum of sound. We can only hear between 20 hertz and 20 kilohertz. And we definitely struggle to quantify experiences like emotions or thoughts. But at the same time, we do know that they exist. So there are two worlds that we are generally aware of: the material world and the immaterial. So in the material world, we can perceive things around us with our five senses. The immaterial world, however, goes beyond that. We use science to study the material world, and we use the mysteries to study the immaterial world. Knowledge can actually be applied practically in both cases, and the study methods are actually exactly the same in both worlds as well. So we study by observation, pattern recognition, measuring things, creating statistics, etc. The tools are slightly different, obviously. So the material world can be measured with a ruler. It can be mapped out with a compass. We have scales, we have microscopes, and all sorts of things that can help us to navigate and understand and study the material world. The immaterial world has its own tools. We have psychology, we have the tarot, we have the zodiac, we have the runes, and a lot of other things. So to say that we're unable to study the immaterial, the invisible world is wrong. There are plenty of ways to do it. So I'll give you an example. Astronomy is what we see in the night sky with our eyes and with a telescope. Astrology is how what we see in the night sky affects us. Music is actually just a bunch of symbols, notes on a paper. But in the immaterial world, music is actually how the melody makes us feel. It's a vibration, and it's a vibration which affects us. So once you understand that, you can begin to map these worlds. Obviously, mapping out the material world is quite simple. We do this to create a physical representation of it. And once we've done that, we can study it. You can also map out the immaterial world. You know, we have mythology, we have sacred texts, we have the Kabbalah tree of life, we have the chakra system, and we have our own system in the Odinic mystery school as well. So once you've mapped out a country on paper, you can then restructure it however you like. And you can apply your knowledge. You can do exactly the same with your internal world. Once you've mapped it out, you can restructure it to suit you. So Seidr specifically deals with runes and cosmology. How do we actually use runes then? Of all the consciousness tools, like the tarot, the zodiac, the runes, they're there to help you to apply your knowledge of the immaterial world practically. They work on many different levels. Firstly, they can show you a mirror reflection of your internal world. I'll say that again. They can show you a mirror reflection of your internal world. They can show you a map. You then get to make choices. You can rearrange the map any way that you like. It's entirely up to you. Why are runes a feminine art? So back in the day, runes were reserved exclusively for women. Freya was the goddess associated with the runes, and it would be sort of shameful for men to even think about using them. It would be like a man trying to be a witch in Salem, So women are already kind of tuned into the universe. We're cyclical creatures. We're highly dependent on the moon, which actually allows us to have an inbuilt sense of intuition far beyond a man's. The one thing, though, that makes women truly different is that we're essentially portals to another dimension. So we bring life into this world, and that makes us uniquely qualified to understand the unseen workings of it. Having said that, men can actually develop these same qualities. And if you join a mystery school as a man, you will be spending a very large chunk of your time doing exactly that, developing the feminine side of your brain. So you might remember that Odin went really quite far out of his comfort zone to understand and to acquire the runes. And it's not a journey for the faint-hearted. So let's see what happened. So this is from the Poetic Edda. And we've got Odin, who says, "I know I hung on that windy tree, swung there for 9 long nights, wounded by my own blade, bloodied for Odin, myself an offering to myself, bound to the tree that no man knows whither the roots of it run. None gave me bread, none gave me drink. Down to the deepest depths I peered until I spied the runes. With a roaring cry, I seized them up. Then dizzy and fainting, I fell. Well-being I won, and wisdom too. I grew and took joy in my growth. From a word to a word, I was led to a word. From a deed to another deed." It's clearly quite the journey. It's not like he was strolling in the park one day and he chanced upon them. There is a serious process here. It's a process that demands sacrifice and it demands dedication. This is not for the faint-hearted. So, back to the runes. Runes aren't just symbols, okay? They have this ability to come alive. And because of this, it's absolutely essential for me to give you a really great big warning here. You must be 100% absolutely respectful when you're working with the runes, because otherwise they can backfire on you. So, how do we start? The starting point of anything, the starting point of your time in a mystery school, it's the same question. What do you want? What's your desire? So in the material world, if you want a cup of coffee, you must take logical steps to go and get it. In the immaterial world, so in the invisible world of the mysteries, let's say you want to feel protected or have better intuition. You also have to take logical steps in order to get your desire. So here's what the process looks like. The first thing you need to do, you need to spend time learning every single rune with the greatest of respect. This will take a while. And I'll be honest with you, only those who are truly passionate will persevere. The rest will give up almost instantly. It's like learning a new language. It doesn't happen in a day. If you were going to sit down and learn Chinese, it's pretty much the same thing. So step 2 is to carve your own runes from natural wood or rocks. Now, your energy while doing this is incredibly important. You will be transferring your own life force into these runes. So you have to make sure that you're in the right frame of mind when you're doing this. The third step is that you have to be very aware and in tune of what is happening in the sky. For example, if the moon is waning, so it's getting thinner, and you are trying to call in more of something, so more confidence, let's say, it's not going to work. Likewise, if the moon is waxing, getting bigger, and you are trying to eliminate something from your life, it's not going to work. If you want luck for a business trip and Mercury, who rules over travel and commerce, is in retrograde, it's not going to work. You need to understand the energies that are at play in the universe before you attempt this. Because whatever is happening in the sky is happening inside you as well, even if you're not aware of it. And the last thing you want to do is try to rearrange the immaterial world while you're in a bad mood, or if the conditions are not right. It's kind of like doing surgery when you're upset or angry. It's just not a good idea. You have to start from a place of calm and no fear. Otherwise, your fears can actually cancel out what you're trying to do. And in the worst case scenario, particularly strong fears can backfire on you. This is where shadow work is absolutely essential. I would not teach anyone the runes who has not reached a certain level in the mystery school. So if you have completed all of the previous steps, there is actually a 3-step process to using the runes. Step 1 is to create the desired combination. It's kind of like you're forming sentences from the alphabet, spelling. Step 2 is to carve them. And the last step is to paint or activate them. So, the art of combining rules is like writing a poem or a musical piece. You have to know what you're doing. And in order to know that, you have to know how every single rune works with every single other rune. Exactly as an alphabet or exactly the same as a collection of notes. The art of carving and activating them is kind of like transferring all your intention into playing the piano beautifully. The music from a piano will resonate with the universe. It will resonate with people. It will send ripples through space, affecting change. And activated runes do exactly the same thing. I have to say that the runes and any kind of mystery work requires great discipline. You have to be able to follow rules. You have to learn to develop your inner willpower. How do you know if it's even for you? Well, the answer is kind of simple. You will feel it energetically. You will feel guided towards it. Your interest will direct your energy and your attention. I'm going to say that again. Your interest will direct your attention. So, no matter how frustrating the journey might be, how much you're humbled during the journey, how painful it is, you will not quit. It's like a great love affair. You just cannot let go. Those who persevere and seek out wisdom, no matter what, are truly welcome in the Odinic Mystery School. Thank you for sticking around. I hope you found this useful, and I will see you very soon.